Hey everybody, Leo D here with another vlog. And in this vlog I want to answer the question why I use Rekordbox and what is the difference between Rekordbox and Serato. And what are the pros and cons of using it for different configurations and different things that you might experience working out in a club or working out as a mobile DJ. A little history on my background. I've been DJing since the 1990s. I'm old enough to have paid money for one of these. This is a 45. I used to DJ with records, 45s, turntables, all that. And then I converted over to CDs, and then from CDs I converted over to MP3s, and I've used different software packages like PC DJ Red and Virtual DJ, and now I use Rekordbox. So since I'm not a Serato DJ user, in order to get this video going, I've asked for a friend to come over and bring some of his equipment as well, so we can compare Rekordbox and Serato. Alright, so I'm not a Serato DJ user, so I needed some help. So I invited a friend of mine. Here's DJ Big Al. What's up?
How's it going, everybody?
That's right. So I'm going to represent Rekordbox and he's going to represent Serato.
Woohoo!
How long have you been DJing?
Been DJing about 15 years, ever since I was about 18, which I just gave away my age. That's horrible, but it is what it is.
And what did you do? What did you use before you used anything? What was your first
I started off obviously on this thing right here. You know, I got into it towards somewhat the end of it when I realized that I was going to have to carry a lot of equipment, and a lot of the stuff that I normally do, I normally always do on my own. So once my back started going out a little bit, I discovered this thing called a CDJ 250, which is from Pioneers. Pioneers' second CDJ that ever opened up, and that one basically used to hit a pop-up button and used to have a flap that used to open up, and that's where the CDs went. So I used that for a minute, and all of a sudden this new wave started coming around, and I would say maybe 2003, 2004, and there was this thing from a company named Stanton, which obviously they're still around, and it was called Final Scratch. And I was intrigued by it because obviously there was a guy with a laptop, so I've already gone from carrying record crates to just carrying about 2 or 3 CD books with all my stuff on it. I was intrigued by it, and I started doing a little bit of research here and there, and right around the same time that came out, there was a company called Rain that had been out at that moment, but they had come out with their own version, and it was called Scratch Live. So I was doing my research, going back and forth, trying to figure out what company to go with, and I'll never forget this. I remember seeing a YouTube video of David Guetta DJing on Final Scratch, and the computer crashed on him. And I remember physically doing something like this, where I pretend this is the computer, and he literally just went like this repeatedly over the DJ booth, which was amazing to me because I was like, whoa, this is David Guetta right now. So I was like, all right, cool. So that's not for me. So I decided to make the transition over to Final Scratch. To Scratch Live. This right here is actually my first SL box. This thing is probably a good 10, 12 years old. Ever since I picked this up, honestly, I've been a die-hard Rain person. I got this. I was probably one of the first 1,000 to get it. I had the Rain 57, which was the first DVS-enabled mixer, which I actually still have that at home. And then when it came out with the Rain 62, I got that as well. That's very similar to the Pioneer S9, basically, which is a DVS mixer with effects built in. It's a 2-channel battle style mixer. So yeah, man, that's my story. You know, I've been Rain from day one.
So in our first comparison, what we're going to do is we're going to imagine that the DJ, you, myself, or Alex, are going to walk into a club, and the club has turntables. Now, what equipment do you need to run your software? First, what do you need to use Serato? So to use Serato software, what type of hardware do you need to use?
You're going to need an interface, first of all. So you are either going to need something like a Serato box, an SL1, SL2, SL3, SL4 box. Difference between those is the SL1 and SL2 do not support Serato DJ. There's 2 versions of Serato. There's Serato Scratch Live, which is what I'm using right now. That will work with an SL1, SL2, Rain 57, and this guy right here, which is the Rain 62. Now, the nice part about this guy is that this guy, you can download the drivers and you can also use it with Serato DJ. So this one will work with both, which is actually one of the only mixers in the market that will work with both Scratch Live and Serato DJ.
What about the laptop?
Laptop really doesn't matter, man. You can go with the Windows, you can go with a Mac. As far as specifications, anything on Scratch Live and Serato DJ, as long as you're not running videos, you should be fine with 8 gigs of RAM. Hard drive space, you gotta have at least a good 40 to 50 gigs available just so that the program can breathe and do whatever it is that you need to do.
Tell me, what did you hook up here? The club had turntables, you brought your own mixer.
So yeah, I brought my own mixer. You can either do this, or I said if you have most clubs, honestly, industry standard is the Pioneer Nexus mixer. So that's why I always carry my Serato box with me. And then I also have always with me, obviously, vinyl, wax, and my Serato CDs. So with the Serato CDs, this will work on Scratch Live or Serato DJ. It doesn't matter. They're not proprietary to either one. Also, if you're in a bind and you're in a bend where like these break or CD player isn't working or reading them or anything like that, one thing that you can do as well is you can also burn it on a USB. You can burn the Serato timecode. You can download it off Serato.com, and you can burn it on a USB.
So one of the things that I know that you can do in Serato, just because I've seen you do it, we've been working at clubs together, we walk in, the hardware's messed up, and all of a sudden, Alex is down to just one side, one channel. What do you do?
So it's kind of funny because, you know, at certain clubs that I do and stuff like that, like most of the time, like they'll take forever to fix a CD player, or I'll only bring one needle, or I forget a record at home, or whatever it is. So the one really cool thing about Scratch Live and Serato that you can do on this, which you can't do with Rekordbox, is called instant doubles. So that basically works is you would go here and you would put this deck in internal mode, and then most important thing is you have to go to setup. Right here under playback, you have to make sure you have instant doubles checked. As long as you have instant doubles checked, let's say I go ahead and play this song right here. Let me lower this a little bit so you guys can hear me. So, the song's playing right now, and let's say I need to mix a song in. So what I'm going to do is you can just double tap on there, or you can just get the song and you can just drag it to the opposite side and automatically boom.
Basically what you're doing now is you got the song playing on your channel 1.
Correct.
And you're going to swap it over.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the same song and just shift and right over to the right hand side, and you'll see it basically right there, instant double. And right there, just move the crossfader and that's it. So right now,
notice this guy is not moving at all.
Nothing at all, nothing.
Okay.
All right, and then now I can go ahead and get my next song ready. Cue it the same way, whatever it is I want to do. I want to just cut it in, whatever I want to do. Automatically that song is playing. We'll go ahead and do it the same way. And there you go.
So now let's look at what you would do if you were using a Rekordbox. So as a Rekordbox user, I might walk into a club. I know that there's turntables, but I don't know what kind of mixer they're going to have. So obviously I'm going to bring my own mixer that I prefer, which in this case happens to be a DJing 900 Nexus. Okay, so what I have set up in my house already are 2 turntables and my DJing 900. Okay, USB cable. I'm already running Rekordbox on my laptop. Now, I am not an Apple user. I love Windows systems. I know what I'm doing. I'm very comfortable. I happen to be using an MSI gamer laptop. As Alex mentioned, it has a solid state drive. It's 16 megs of RAM. And one things that Pioneer recommends when you do set up the Rekordbox software is you want to make sure that you go into the graphics and make sure that the software is using the high performance graphics settings. So besides that, you also want to make sure that the software is set to run as administrator. Once you do that, everything should be good to go. So here's where I'm going to blow Alex's mind, because I'm going to use the Serato control vinyl on Rekordbox. Right. I want to make sure I'm getting a good tone. Plug this in. Go up the settings. Now you have to have the DVS license for this to work. You enable DVS and boom, I got a good tone. Just go through the auto configuration, start, calibration. Do me a favor, hit number 2. Bam, bam, bam. Now, I'm not going to try to convince anybody that this is better than Serato or not, but what I am going to do is let Alex have a turn on these turntables with the software running and tell me what he thinks. So, Alex likes to use cue points, and with Rekordbox, the cool thing is that you can have a bunch of add-ons. To do this, to accomplish this, I'm going to add my DJing SP1 touch controller.
So I will say it's definitely pretty accurate. I guess one thing that I'm always used to is just having a bigger display and a different display laid out. That's why I was constantly looking at it. Obviously, you're not 100% used to just having the computer away and just having this, which is the conventional way of DJing. But also, you know, at least for me, I've gotten used to having the computer in front of me, knowing where the cue points are. Obviously, keep in mind that for anybody that has a Mac, most conventional Macs have only 2 USB ports. So in this particular situation, the second that you hook up the mixer and you hook up the SP1, you basically won't have any USBs available. So perfect example, if you have like an external mouse the same way Leo has, and or, you know, a lot of DJs use hard drives. If you're using a USB hard drive, it's going to be very difficult for you to maneuver it with that. In that particular situation, you can scroll over to where I'm at, or where my setup is. You'll see the Thunderbolt hard drive. Thunderbolt is a really fast connection. It's actually faster than USB 3.0. I think the transfer rate is something like 420 or 520 gigabits per second. So it's probably, if you're going to get an external hard drive and you're using a Mac, it's definitely the way to go. It's a Thunderbolt hard drive. Okay, so scenario number 2. You walk into a place, a business or anything like that, and they have CDJs hooked up. As a Serato user, what do you do? Pretty simple, pretty similar to turntables. You hook up either your mixer, if you're bringing it with you, or your DVS box. You open up a Scratch Live or Serato DJ, you plug in your CD players, and you're good to go. Now, here's one really cool thing, which might be a trick for some of you. I just realized that one of my CDs works and the other one has a nice little crack right there. So, here's probably one of your best options. USB thumb drive, you install the Serato CD on there, you just drag and drop it, and we are 100% good to go, man, ready to party. All your cue points still work, everything 100% works. So one thing I guess didn't get into is that SP1 player that Leo has. This is basically the same thing on this mixer. So you have your cue points right here. You can automatically hit that button right there, and you have your loop rolls. So it basically works the same way. Yeah, man. So that's pretty much how that's gonna work.
Okay. So can you do a loop or actually do more control with the CDJs and Serato, what would you do?
So there's this thing called HID mode, and the way that it basically works is you would run a USB cable from this controller or this player into a USB hub, and then you would run another one from the other one to a USB hub, and you will connect the USB hub into the computer. Once you do that, all your cue points will basically show up right here. Your loops, you'd be able to do loop in, loop out directly on here, and all the other stuff would actually work the same way that it does on here.
And it works with this version of Serato?
That would only work with Serato DJ.
All right, so now let's take a look and see what you would do as a Rekordbox user. So as a Rekordbox user, I have two options because obviously Rekordbox was developed specifically for CDJs and specifically for the higher end CDJ 2000s that came out and then from that point on. So I have two options. Option number one, I throw my software into export mode. I configure all my playlists, export out everything out to one of these. A secure digital card. This one happens to be 256 gigs. I drop this inside my player. Press the SD button. And now all my music, all my playlists are automatically here. Now, obviously, I've customized my playlist to my likings. You would do the same thing, just like Alex does the same thing within his Serato software, right?
That's pretty cool. I like that.
One of the things Alex told me was, how do you find something? On my keyboard, I just go out and type whatever I want, right? On the new CDJs, you can hit the shortcut button and you press search, and now you have a QWERTY keyboard and you can type in anything you want. Okay, so one thing I want to point out, which I showed Alex, is at no point at all have I restarted the software. The software has been up from when we were testing the turntables, and now I have it connected. The only thing I did was change it from export mode back into performance mode. I changed my input on my mixer to line. And then what I do want to do is I want to make sure that I turn off the DVS function because I'm not using DVS. And on the CDJ, you press link, control mode, link, control mode on the other one. And as you can see, I am now scrolling on the laptop. And just like that, I'm playing the music off the laptop.
I'm now where I'm supposed to be. I hope that you'll listen to me, 'cause it makes me feel young.
So the key here, and the reason why the CDJ can control the laptop, is the Ethernet hub, or the Ethernet network that Pioneer set up, the ProLink. Basically, the Cat5 cable runs all the way to this hub, and once I have my two CDJs and my mixer into the hub, their automatic HID mode is set up.
I'll definitely say it's a lot more convenient where you don't have to worry about as many things. You know, with Serato, you got to worry about making sure you have records, making sure you have CDs, and so forth. As far as the CD player goes and that type of stuff. Now, keep in mind, if they don't have an Ethernet cable or a hub or anything like that, you're going to have to bring that with you to the club in order to get all this stuff to work.
Yeah,
but it's very cool.
I happen to carry that with me at all times.
Very cool and convenient. I like it.
All right, so scenario number 3. In this scenario, you're a mobile DJ and you get to choose whatever piece of equipment you're going to bring to a party. So in most cases, that's going to be a controller or some type of control device. Mobile DJ, Alex comes to a party, and what kind of equipment does he bring?
You know what? I used to bring out my turntables and all that good stuff, but you know what? I'm about simplifying my life right now, and this is what it is right here. We had I started off with the DJing SX1 originally, and about a year and a half ago I swapped out to the DJing SX2. Only difference between the SX1 and the SX2 is a bit of a better sound card, and your key points are actually color coded on your pads right here, which on the SX1 they're all blue. I just added 3 or 4 more, but that's besides the fact. So yeah, so this is definitely my go-to. Has 4 channels, so it's very convenient because you'll have an independent channel for your mic, and then on top of that, don't mind my cables and charger and all that good stuff, but you'll have a spare channel for your auxiliary. So if anybody brings you an iPad or a phone with some music on it that somebody wants you to play, you'll be prepared for that, which is something that you won't necessarily get with the 2-channel version of the SB or the SR. Another really cool thing about it is, at least for me, since I'm a little fluffy size, it's a little more convenient for me to be able to scratch and cut and do my transitions, because I physically have, it's basically like having a 4-channel mixer and another deck. It's not an SZ where it weighs 800 pounds, but this for me is the perfect controller in my ideal world.
So as a Rekordbox user, I use different types of controllers as well. I've done plenty of videos already where I show off the use of my XDJ R1, but here's what I'm going to do with Alex's controller. Once again, I haven't turned off my laptop. What I'm going to do is plug my laptop to his controller. Now, full disclosure, I had no idea what model controller he had. I don't have any pre-installed drivers. Alex, please plug that in.
This better not work. Why is that? What?
I'm going to go ahead and install drivers. Yes. Agree.
It's stopped downloading and installing them. Wow. Now, just to give you a heads up, if I'm not mistaken, you should be on the internet right now, so if you pull up to a gig and the place doesn't have Wi-Fi, this might not necessarily work.
This laptop has no internet connection. What happens is when you install Rekordbox, Pioneer gives you all the drivers for all their controllers, and it's all installed on the directories. So whenever you plug something in, you already have all the drivers set up for you. And whenever Rekordbox updates, a lot of times you get updated drivers for all those controllers as well. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here to the config button, make sure that my audio is set up for the DDJ SX2 ASO. All right. I have not restarted the software. Alex, please try your controller.
This better not work. Oh, wow. Yeah. That's a little crazy. Wow. Hold on. Yeah, picture's working. That's crazy. Okay.
So the bottom line, as a mobile DJ, a lot of times you get to choose what type of equipment you're going to bring. But as a Rekordbox user, you have the ability to use a lot more equipment. With Serato, you do have Serato equipment that's made specific for the software. It's made by Pioneer, it's made by Rain, and maybe made by Denon?
Denon, Mixars, there are a lot of different companies. I mean, I guess for me, as well as I think about it in the sense of Pioneer's been around for a very long time, but they're just getting their hands wet into the DBS portion of it, where, you know, Rekordbox has not been around as long as Scratch Live and Serato DJ has. So for me, at least, you know, it's what I feel comfortable with. There's no right or wrong way of doing it. Definitely with the stuff that I've learned today from Leo, that I figured out that I can do a lot more stuff with it. I can understand why he likes it so much, but I mean, as far as I go, you know, I'm a Serato diehard. It is what it is. Sorry.
That's okay. And actually, again, whatever works for you is the best thing to use. I prefer Rekordbox simply because I can go from one device to the other, and I bring everything that I have already configured along with me. All my playlists, all my hot cues, all my loops, everything. I'm fairly comfortable everywhere I go. So I hope you enjoyed watching the video. If you did, please give us a thumbs up. And if you liked it, please subscribe, hit that like button, and thank you. Good night.
Peace.